Hello, hello and welcome. I am Sharon Martin. I am a messenger for Gaia, and today I am here with what I'm calling a Divine Masculine mashup. So I was intending to do this live, but today the timing doesn't work for me to do that, and I had promised that I would get this out today. So I am in conversation with your energetic selves, and you can be in conversation with this when I release it. So the reason I've called this Divine Masculine mashup is that it's a whole lot of bits and pieces really that have come to my awareness about where they're at in the collective, and some specific examples that support that, and to share with you really the divine feminine, so that you can have an understanding about where your divine masculine might be at, and see where it fits in the story or with these examples. So sit back, maybe get a drink of water. I'm not sure how long this will be. I've made some notes and I'll be speaking to it. So the first thing is that if you have not watched the video that I released yesterday about all of the energies that relate to the energy of the 22nd of January 2023, then that really segues into this video, because all of those energetics impact on the divine masculine. So as we come into the 22nd of January, and today is the 19th here, then all planets by that point will have moved into being direct. And so at this point, there's a lot of release of pull on the aspects of the energy affecting the planet, and everything comes into a more supportive energy, a more physical, tangible experience. It's this idea that the etheric drops more into the physical. We can see it, touch it, feel it, that it's in motion. So we are going to be experiencing and observing a lot of change in our physical world, and it will be very fast, because we're in these energies bring this accelerated energy and movement. So things will show up very fast. The divine masculine, they're coming into their freedom, they're coming into their own movement, their own alignment. They are also beginning to recognize more about energy, coming into their own transformation, and they are alchemizing themselves through this process as they are, along with everybody else, coming into higher consciousness. But it's important to remember that they're these quite remarkable beings who come with a lot of skills, a lot of expertise, and their awakening and their way of being in their consciousness won't necessarily, be the same as yours or as mine. So what I see that they're in, you can think of it as being the spectrum. So some of them are having this kind of dawning, if you like. They are having and have had several, I think 3 higher heart activations, and this has really brought them to this place where they're beginning to have some kind of musing, some internal dialogue, some internal thoughts about why they are here and what their purpose is, what their mission is, what is their divine alignment, who is their divine counterpart. And this is coming through this time where the truth is being revealed, where everything is taking on this greater clarity and everything in the world is coming into greater alignment. So the masculine are on this spectrum of awakening. So they might be in this early stage of awakening. They might still be in a dark night of the soul experience. They might have come into stronger awareness, and they might have come into higher consciousness. Many of them are on the edges of having their clear voyance opening, their psychic vision. And they are in their, if you like, their 3D breakdown, their 3D dissolution. And they are in the sense of feeling that things aren't right. Things aren't sitting right. Things aren't feeling right. Things aren't showing up right. And they might not all have an understanding of what that looks like for it to be right, but they're definitely in this experience of things not feeling right and seeking to make adjustments for that. So this might be in any of their situations. It might be in their family setup, might be in their location, in their job, in any situation that they find themselves in, and they're just not feeling right about it. So they also have the sense that it's to do with you, and they are feeling drawn to you, the divine feminine, drawn to that energy, to that heart, to that love, because they know the love that is expanding and moving and opening in their heart, that it links to you, it relates to you, the divine feminine. They're beginning to live their lives in a higher way, and this is becoming more seen and felt and held as important to them. So many of them already operated their lives in this greater integrity, but now they're coming into more of the connections of their integrity to self, to their heart, to their higher consciousness. And many of them are having this visionary development, if you like. So seeing with their inner vision through their maybe their wakeful time, maybe with their eyes open even, and then also flashes that come in their dream time. So I have some little images that I've been given that kind of segue from yesterday's video as well. So imagine that every single divine counterpart is a meerkat, and that they are all with their heads popped up above their little hole, their little burrow, and every one of them is looking around, sighting where they have to go. And they're held there in suspended animation until there's some gong that sounds, and then they all leave their burrows and they run across to the burrow where they're meant to be and dive in there. It's that everyone is knows where they are to go, and that's what they do when they get the go signal. And this is what I see is happening for divine counterparts over this month. We're in these powerful times for these exchanges on a truthful and higher level. Hard for the divine masculine to hide these feelings away. Hard for the divine masculine to hide these ideas away just from themselves. So they're coming into this higher level of awareness, of consciousness, and of truth, and that aligns with who they are and why they're here, and this exploration of all of that. So they are in this process of this, as I've spoken about before, this back and forth, the whole collective. It's this, here is my 3D world, and now I'm becoming aware of these higher ways, these more fifth dimensional experiences of consciousness, of these higher ways of thinking, acting, being, speaking, being in connection. And they're unpacking, they're evaluating, and they're trying to measure up with this higher integrity. But at the same time, they're being pulled by this love, and they're being pushed by the divine, and then they're being moved into truth and clarity by these energies. So I think that they come to this awareness now that this love is big, and it's strong and it's eternal, and that this month is going to bring huge changes to this level of awareness. They're also really being asked to see themselves and their worthiness, because this worthiness is a key coding for them, a key factor in why many of them may not have quite stepped up yet, because they need to step up into themselves and they need to evaluate their own worthiness. They need to stop making comparisons. They need to stop really being denigrating to themselves about who they are not and what they are not. But this is their process at the moment, is to explore that. So there are a few little other imageries that I've been given. So one of them was that the divine masculines are crossing the road. And here on this side of the road, this is the 3-dimensional footpath. And on the other side of the road is the 5-dimensional footpath. And so the divine masculine are moving from this 3-dimensional footpath across the road to the 5-dimensional footpath. And that is happening in what I was shown as in two main ways. So some of them are turning over every stone on the road. So imagine it's an old cobbled roadway. They're turning over every cobblestone between this side of the road and the other side of the road in their trajectory across it. And they're turning over the cobblestone and they're examining it and they're asking themselves deeper questions about what is this, and is it something that I'm ready to let go of? Is it something that I'm required to let go of? Does this serve me in my higher way of being? Yes or no? And so then they're discarding. And so these are their limited beliefs, their old paradigms, the patterns and programming that come through from their families and from society in general. And as a rule of thumb, there will be some kind of stretching out of these paradigms between you and them. There'll be some obvious disparities that you and them are undoing in commonality. So it will have a common thread, a common stretch, a common gap. And then others are just leaping straight across the road to the other side. But they are often lacking the courage to stay in that higher space, so they revert back to what's familiar, and then they get pulled by their hearts to jump across again. And so they will do this a few times, I'm showing, until the divine pull them and this love overrides that. So I also saw this example of this divine masculine leaping through the grid lines. So that was an interesting analogy. So they were leaping through the grid lines like a parkour master. So parkour is that, I don't know whether you call it a sport, but let's call it a sport where people are sort of traversing like a series of making a series of jumps and leaps through nature or man-made structures, but they exist as structures. And so they might leap from a wall onto a road, up onto a fence, up onto a roof, down onto a lower roof, down onto another structure, and they do that with great agility. And so this is what this DM was doing. So he was on these lines, these grid lines showing up, and he was firm-footed with 2 feet. He was making these 2-footed leaps from this grid line to the next, and he was in this clear movement towards his divine feminine from one side of the world across to the other. But it was very focused and it was very strong as he made these 2-footed leaps. Another divine masculine I saw was, I think I mentioned it already, that he was standing at the side of the road and he was doing this left, right, left, right, left, right, in this quick staccato with his head like this, reminded me like of a comic cartoon character, as he's evaluating and examining his 3D world and his 5D world. And then another example, I saw this divine masculine, what he was doing was he was sorting out and stacking timber. And so he was sorting, it was internal trim timber like baseboards or scaffolding or skirting, and he was putting all the short lengths in one pile and the long lengths in the other. And this was his sorting out about his new life and old life, the 3D and the 5D, the shorter sticks being this stable, familiar, three-dimensional physical world, and the longer lengths being this fifth-dimensional, more expansive place. And turns out he is a builder, that divine masculine. So this truth and clarity, this authenticity and alignment, all coming in these energies, as well as this relocation organization. And so they are really in this kind of, I want to say, deep introspection, deep self-examination of self and life in all of its aspects. And then this strong realization of knowing. It feels to me like a lot of them know what they're doing now. They know that they're coming. They know what it's about. And they are just in this very, I want to say, strong, masculine, focused, get the job done kind of energy. So, that, of course, is their 3D way of operating, right? They're the fix-it guys. They know what needs to happen for things to get done. They're doers. And so there's also this idea that this might be their way of coming into greater self-worth, is to just come into a level of mastery with themselves and what they do, and being able to recognize their own mastery and perhaps in their vocation or in their way of being, so that they recognize that in the 3D world they're exceptionally competent, and so they can have that as their offset with their divine feminines. And so they also are seeing that it's much less challenging to stay there. It's much easier for them to stay there in that old paradigm, where they have or are developing mastery, rather than leaping into this something new, this new way of thinking, being, operating, communicating, connecting, and being in relationship. But I'm thinking that might be a part of it for them, to become competent and masterful in their 3D world, and to recognize this in self. And yeah, for me, I feel it may mean that they are compelled to do that before they exit to experience their 5D world. But I want to tell you that it doesn't mean jot about how long it will take, because we're in these very quick energies. It's super accelerated, and these energies that we are in from the 22nd, and you can already feel it building, are going to be super accelerated to get everybody into the right place. And you can see that what they are in is what I call the head heart challenge. So some of them are going to have to examine every element in their lives, and that might be, relationships, families, home, children, geography, future, vocation, others who work with them or for them, and so they want to look at that. They want to be sure that they're doing the right thing, not just for themselves, but for everybody. They sit with that higher integrity. It's one of the reasons that they are loved. But their heart will compel them, and their head will talk them out of it until it no longer does. So it comes to that place where they recognize that they no longer fit in their old life. And yes, the divine gives them a push. So they're looking at, why they're feeling this attraction to you, this love for you, when you don't fit into their 3D version of their ideal partner often either. So this is causing for them, this deeper look, this consternation, the paradox, the confusion, which is only alleviated by going to the heart and by reaching for something higher. So this is their exploration at the moment. So I want to say to you, Divine Feminines, stay in your lane. They will move lanes, and they will do it as a result of their greater awakening, their higher perspective, after they have been doing the undoing of the patterns, paradigms, expectations, and because they are coming into this experience of higher love. Another image I saw was Divine Masculine climbing out of this large hole in the earth about 3 meters in diameter, and he's just about to put his head above the surface, where I'm told he will clearly see what and where he needs to be. So we are in this time where we're rolling up to the 22nd. The 22nd is going to have, and is already beginning to have, an impact on huge change in our world. And you will know that I often speak about the connections, the love, the wave of love that ripples through these connections, coming into unison or into union or into even beginning connection in a sort of formal, recognized way, if you like. Just the acknowledgement with one another can take it to that level, and that this is all part of our ascension process. The love that ripples out from the connections that come from these beautiful divine counterparts coming into union, and that's a spectrum as well. That acknowledging of one another is the beginning of that spectrum through to coming into some kind of energetic relationship connection at this higher level, espousing and embracing higher consciousness and these higher aspects of being in our higher dimensional world. So I hope that helps. Feel into your heart, feel where they are at in their hearts. There will be much more of this energetic exchange beginning to occur between the hearts. Many of you now will be in this place where maybe you can hear them, you can attune to them, you can kind of channel their energy, their thoughts, their communication. But go with the feelings, because this is this energetic connection, and we're really in the catalyzation of this coming together through this time. So sit in your own expanded awareness, holding love and holding the vision and the maybe an affirmation that I am calling in my highest divine connection and alignment to be in my life now. Something like that. So I wish you well. I wish you a beautiful day and send you so much love from my heart.